like this law. Very close to 80% doesn't like this law. They don't like the fact that you can't have a secret ballot. They don't like the fact that they're going to be unionized. You think that anybody in the southern states would vote if they knew about this and lose their job? Vote for this and lose your job.
Bernie, also to answer the question about someone not having read about this, you should read the lead editorial in today's Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal has done, I think, 3 editorials on this particular issue. The editorial today has a number of issues, but this card check issue is wrapped up in it. And even papers as liberal as the Washington Post have editorialized against this. Bernie is correct in saying that most people, when given the option of secret ballot or signing a card in public as your vote, would recoil and say, obviously, the secret ballot. The difficulty is that when businesses have talked about this, they do not talk about it in a way that gives an average person, an average voter, an interest at a personal consequence level. It becomes just an arcane voting issue, whether I vote openly as in a caucus or I vote by a secret ballot. And while the consequences to the business community will be huge, individuals don't see it as a big deal until they're actually subject to it. And the business community has not, as Bernie has said. They have either run from this or they haven't been informed about it. And the unions, as opposed to years ago when they tried to do this, the unions made a very big deal about this and there was a major fight. Today, the unions have been very quiet about it, and the business community doesn't tend to fight if there's nothing to fight against. And so without there being an offense put out front by the unions, because they know they don't need to try and pass it, they only need to get the right number of legislators in place. If there's no big offense by the unions, then there's no defense by the business community. And what the business community needed was an offense of its own, and they've been very slow to find their voice and come to the table.
Yeah, and what has happened is that there are organizations that they belong to, all of the retail associations, et cetera, have not been able to deal with this because they have so many members and they just, I don't know, it's politics as usual, bureaucracy, I don't have a clue.
Death by committee.
It's death by committee. It's just incredible. Every single retailer, you're all retail analysts, if a retailer has not gotten involved with this, if he has not spent money on this election, if he has not sent money to Norm Coleman and all these other guys, should be shot. Should be thrown out of their goddamn jobs.
Well, and quite frankly, Bernie, sending money to Norm Coleman, I mean, you're restricted as to how much money you can
give. Do it through you. I don't look. If they, you can go. You can give 10,000 to his committee. You can, but through your organization, Rick, they can also give a lot of money. We've had people come up with $500,000 who understand this issue. The millions of dollars that the unions are putting in, for every dollar we put in, they are putting in $100,000. I mean, the money is not a problem. But if a company is not fighting this and is not standing up and thinks that they're going to be able to negotiate later on after this election, because what I've heard them say is, oh, well, we have our people in Wall Street and we're going to go down and we'll have our lobbyists and we'll meet with these guys. Come on, give me a break here. Are you kidding? None of these people are going to pay. They're not going to change their vote based on lobbying. All you're going to do is spend $1 million for your lobbyists. You're going to get nothing for it. I'd rather see them spend $1 million now on these elections. They'll get a hell of a lot. They'll fire all these guys in Washington. They're worthless anyway.
Let me suggest this in terms of what we can do both now and after the election. Now there are several vehicles, but I'll talk about 2 vehicles. One for corporate dollars would be Rick Berman's organization, unionfacts.org, because even though McCain-Feingold applies now that we're in the window period, there are still activities, the internet and other things that can be used to get out the vote. Also, and that would be large contributions. As Bernie mentioned, some organizations have written checks for $250,000, $500,000, some $2 million for this. Also, in the short term, someone like Norm Coleman or Gordon Smith, they could use an infusion to their committees, not to the Senate committee, to the PACs, of $10,000 by 30 or 40 individuals That will buy more media. Also, individual contributions.
And by the way, we don't care whether, listen, if you're a Democrat or Republican, it makes no difference. If you're a Democrat and you run a business, you better figure out a way to protect yourself. This is not a political issue. This is no prisoners, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or a communist. If you're running a business, you're going to be in deep caca here unless you do something about it.
Right. So if you're a communist, you probably would be happy with this.
Well, that's why it's being pushed. That's not. I don't want to get into the demagoguery of this, but I think that a CEO that doesn't react on this is derelict in his duty. I honestly believe they're derelict in his duty, and they deserve. And I hope that there are going to be lawsuits because they deserve to have them. Okay. Next question.
There are no further questions.
Bernie, thank you so much for this. I've gotten a lot of emails throughout this call and people thanking me profusely for doing this call and for listening. And a couple of people not sure which side you're on the issue, but for the most part, people really kind of seem to, a lot of people for the first time actually hearing about this and understanding it.
We would like to have an email, if we could, from everybody that's on this call so we can send you some of the information that we have. We have some information we'd like to send out to you. So if we can get an email, who should they send it to?
Probably to Jack in your office, I would think. Maybe both of us, to Steve Hantler and also to Jack. Why don't you give Jack's email address, Rick?
That would be Hubbard, Hubbard, at Berman, BermanCo.com, BermanCo.com.
And Jack can just forward them to me.
And we'll send a lot of information. We'll send you some of these opinion things. We'll send you the letter that George Miller, along with other people,
Start